How you doing, Achievers? Ajit Sidhu here. Another beautiful day as always. Today I want to talk about dreaming big. We need to dream big because if we are brave enough to go after our dreams will become true. And that's something that we need to always remember. We need to be brave enough to take the first step. There's a story about Walt Disney. Walt Disney, he was lying on his deathbed. And he had done a lot. He had opened up theme parks, but Epcot Center hadn't been open. And as he lay there, he called over his brother Roy and told him to sit down with a pen and paper. And he said, I need to tell you everything, how Epcot Center needs to be and what's the vision and why we're doing it. And you've got to write this down. And he spent hours explaining everything to Roy, and Roy wrote it down word for word. And Roy took that paper and made it into a guide, a book, a map, and created Epcot. Now, Roy was standing in a room full of reporters when Epcot Center opened up. And all the reporters were taking pictures and congratulating him on the opening of Epcot. But one critic of a reporter stood up and said, Roy, isn't it a bittersweet ending to this story that Walt Disney did not get to see the opening of Epcot? Now Roy, he initially started to get annoyed by this question, but he composed himself. He leaned closer to the mic and he said, it's obvious why you will always be reporting on other people's achievements. We get to see Epcot because Walt saw it first in his mind. And that is the truth about dreams, because everything that exists in this life that's physical, that we can actually hold, is a replica. It's an absolute replica. We will never get the original. No matter how much money you spend on it, we will never get the original. Why? Because the original will die in the dreamer's mind, the creator's mind. That is the truth of it. And that's what we have to remember, because dreamers exist all around us. We are dreamers. We are crucified for daydreaming, looking out the window. And I'm not talking about dreams, the nighttime dreams, when you're asleep, you have no control over. I'm talking about the dreams that we control. The part of our brain that is like a window, our secret room, our powerhouse that's been minimalized, made smaller by society. It's called imagination. That is the key to achieving anything. When we sit there dreaming, daydreaming, we are actually doing the most important job, because we are almost time traveling. We're traveling to the future and seeing exactly what the future should be like. And when we come back, if we're brave enough, then our body, our physical world starts to catch up with that dream. And this is the exact same with the movie Avatar. I believe the Avatar concept was, I think it's James Cameron. He had this concept and he was trying to create it, but technology wasn't, the technology hadn't come to existence. So he came up with this. He jumped into the future. He knew exactly what he wanted and brought it back, but technology hadn't caught up. And when it finally caught up, Avatar was created. And this is similar with Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg, the iPhone. It's all visionary, almost like people seeing into the future through a small part of our brain called imagination. And the way we imagine is by allowing us just to daydream. And it's so important. So important. But now we got to think, what dreams are laying dormant in our mind? We've all had dreams, but they just lie there dormant, waiting for us to pick it up and to put it into a soil so it can grow. Why haven't we pursued them? Why? Is it because of the fear of failure? Because we failed. We've already failed if we don't take the first step. We have to take the first step. Because what tends to happen is when people think of a dream, they jump into the future and they say, wow, this concept could be great. And when reality comes back, when reality actually hits back, we think, how do we do that? We start thinking about the strategy. It's impossible to do that. And what happens is our state goes down. And what we need to do is bring our state up, get into a peak state, create the story of how it's going to happen, gain other people's story, like Walt Disney's success, Richard Branson, when he visualized owning planes and opening up studios and magazines and record shops. Take their stories. Just take their stories and use their stories as motivation. You know, you got also Steve Jobs with the iPhone, the concept of the iPhone, the concept of where he wanted to take his business. Just take those stories, and then the strategy, the path will come to view. It will light up. The path will just light up when we take the first step. But there's a movie that me and my wife are watching this weekend, and it's called The Greatest Showman. And everyone that's seen this movie kept saying to me, Ajit, you gotta watch this. This is an absolutely amazing movie. And I was like, yes, I will watch it. But unfortunately, I did not have time to watch it. But finally, it's on Sky now. And I watched it, and I had my food in front of me, and I was digging into my food, and the movie started, and the opening scene, I just sat there watching with my fork in my hand, mesmerized by the opening scene. And I turned to my wife and I said, how did the director take that scene from my mind? Because that scene, the opening scene, is what every dreamer does. Every dreamer sees a lavish show. Every dreamer sees the lights. Every dreamer sees the end product. But eventually the lights start going down and everyone disappears and there's darkness and you're standing there all by yourself. And this is when reality starts kicking in. Reality of it's impossible. The reality of I can't do it. The reality of maybe this dream's not for me. The false reality, the mind chatter, that point. And then you come back to the actual physical reality. And it's that darkness is where dreamers go through. Every dreamer who's had a dream will go through that path. The darkness, the loneliness, the being by yourself for hours, going through a process with nobody around, pure darkness. I call it the valley of the shadow of death, because if you can walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and the shadows of death are basically all the dreams that lie splattered all over the floor and all over the place, that has made it black, has made it dark, has made it lonely. And if you can actually walk through that and be brave enough to take the first step and then the next step and go through it, then you come out and the show is on, the lights are gleaming, everyone is celebrating, there's everyone around you saying, wow, how did you do it? With huge smiles. And the whole dream process should always be not a selfish need about making money, because those dreams will never come true. Because you will make money, but happiness won't come. The truth is, everyone's looking for happiness. But the only way to gain happiness is by giving happiness. So every dream, if you think about it, your dreams, is related to happiness. Some kind of happiness. And it's all about just going through the valley of the shadow of death, of dreams, walking through that darkness, and coming out the other side. And just being courageous enough to just take the first step. So what we have to remember is dream big. Through you, the impossible comes through. Everything can come true. We must dream big, but we must take the first step. Keep achieving, keep adding value, keep dreaming big. I love you guys, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.